Good morning to students. So already we have completed the first unit, Introduction to Algorithms with spanning trees, disjoint sets, connected and bi-connected components, certain asymptotic notations, and how can we evaluate the time and memory complexities for any problem. Coming to the second unit, here we are going to see two different types of approaches to solve a particular problem, selecting an approach to solve a particular problem, and which is the better one and which can produce less time complexity, and how can we analyze the algorithm using any one of these two approaches. So in these two approaches, first one is divide and conquer method. Divide and conquer method means simply we can call it as a reassemble and assemble approach. Reassemble means partition the problem. Reassemble means dividing. Assemble means re-establishment. Similarly here, divide means partition the problem into number of subproblems. Conquer means what are the subproblems produced in divide. We have to solve those subproblems. And combine means assemble the results produced, conquered or produced from the divide. After dividing the problems into number of subproblems, what are the results produced after solving the problems independently, subproblems independently, and recombine those results to produce a single solution. So that is the divide and conquer approach. Divide the problem into a number of subproblems. Conquer the subproblems, that is nothing but conquer means here solving the problems. Next, combine the subproblem solutions to get the solution to the original problem. So here, when we are solving the problem, we can use different types of approaches. We can solve the problem independently, or we can solve the problem recursively. Recursively means self-iterations within itself until we can get a solution. A general method for divide and conquer using recursion is always suitable to design an efficient algorithms. So this recursion type approach solves the problems by dividing the data into partitions, finding the subsolutions for each part, and constructing the final answer from the subsolutions. So we can see what are the different types of problems we are having in algorithm approaches, which problems come under the method of divide and conquer. We are having different types of sorting and searching problems, matrix multiplication, different approaches. But within those set of problems, which problem can allow partition, those may come under divide and conquer. So when we are going to the binary search example, binary search always allows dividing the list into sublist depending on the middle value. So binary search can be solved using divide and conquer. And next go to merge sort. Merging means combining two different lists as a single one. So two different lists means two partitions. So sort the parts independently and merge them as a single one. So merge sort should also come under divide and conquer. Next, quick sort. Quick sort can also allows division of the list into two sublists by using the pivot element. Already you have seen these in data structures, different types of sorting approaches. So quick sort should also come under divide and conquer because that is also dividing the set into two subsets using the pivot elements recursively until the list is sorted. And the last one is matrix multiplication and also all pair, that is shortest all pair shortest path problems. These can be solved. All pair shortest path means when we are finding a path from a source to a destination, there may be multiple partitions or paths. Among those, we can select only a single one or calculate it independently the subparts and add them as a single one. So these are the different types of problems which may come under divide and conquer approaches. Based on dividing the problem into subproblems, the approach is divide the problem into smaller subproblems. Subproblems must be of same type. When we are dividing the problem into subproblems, all the subproblems should use the same approach for solving, and subproblems do not need to overlap. That is, we should not overlap means we should not use one subproblem's result as input to another subproblem. That are independent, no overlapping, but the subproblem should be solved using the similar approach to all of them. Solve each subproblem recursively. Combine the solutions to solve the original problem. Usually contain 2 or more recursive calls for solving. So this is the representation of divide and conquer technique. So initially a problem of size n elements. Divide this n into 2 subproblems. Subproblem 1 of size n by 2, subproblem 2 of size n by 2. Next, conquer the subproblem, that is, produce the solution to the subproblem 1 and produce the solution to subproblem 2. And here assemble those two as a single one, that is, a solution to original problem. Based on dividing the problem into subproblems, divide the problem into subproblems must be of same type and do not need to overlap. Conquer by solving subproblems recursively. If the subproblems are small enough, solve them in brute force fashion, that is first in first out order. Combine the solutions of subproblems into a solution of the original problem. For divide and conquer algorithms, the running time is mainly affected by 3 parameters. First one, the number of subinstances into which a problem fits. That is the first factor. How many subproblems we are dividing? The main problem that has been divided into how many number of subproblems. Second one, the ratio of initial problem size to subproblem size. That is, in the subproblem, how many number of elements we are considering. You have to compare or calculate the ratio of main problem to subproblem. Already you have seen previously. Subproblem 1 with n by 2, subproblem 2 with n by 2. That is the ratio. Next, the number of steps required to divide the initial substance and to combine the subsolution. That is the number of steps required from division to combining. Dividing to conquer the solution and next combining the solutions. These 3 factors affecting the running time complexity of divide and conquer approach. That is the number of partitions, that is number of subproblems, and size of the each subproblem in ratio, and next, what are the number of steps from beginning to end. Coming to the general approach, that is general representation, algorithm for general divide and conquer. Begin, start, sorting, other sorting or any other. If L has length greater than 1, then begin. Partition the list into, that is L has greater than 1 means until we can divide the list into sublist, we can approach. If that is equal to 1, then you can stop, because 1 cannot be divided into number of partitions. So until 1, we can divide the problem into subproblems. Partition the list into 2 lists, high and low. Starts, sorting, high. Start, low. And combine high and low and end the algorithm. And recursively call this one until high and low should contain single elements. When the algorithm contains a recursive call to itself, its running time can often be described by a recurrence equation. So, divide and conquer running time can be represented using a recurrence relations. Recurrence equation which describes the overall running time on a problem of size n in terms of running time on smaller inputs. For divide and conquer algorithms, we get the recurrences that look like, that is the time complexity of n elements equal to theta of 1 if n less than or equal to c, that is only for one element. If that is greater than 1, a t of n by b plus d of n plus c of n. Otherwise, where so here theta of 1 is when any less than or equal to 1. Otherwise, that is when n greater than 1, then we are going to calculate time complexity using the second one, that is a t of n by b. N by b means here that is the size of the subproblem, and you can add the time complexity of number of subproblem. A is the number of subproblems, count of the subproblems, and t of n by b is the time for each subproblem, and these are the constant factors which are recursively affecting. Already we have seen 3 factors. These are the next 2 factors. This is the time taking for each subproblem, and d of n is nothing but the ratio value, and c of n is nothing but the number of steps. Where a is the number of subproblems, we break the problem into. N by b is the size of the subproblem. D of n is the time to divide the problem of size into subproblems. C of n is the time to combine. D of n is the dividing. C of n is the combining into solutions to get the answer for the problem of size n. So the algorithm, let us assume the following array. So here the array consists of 10 elements. We divide the values into 2 pairs. We sort each pair. Pairs, we divide the problem into 2 pairs. So here we have been divided into pairs. Pair means each subproblem that is consists of 2 elements, 2, 6, 7, 3, 5, 6, 9, 2, 4, 1. And we sort each pair, and then we can combine. We sort each pair means first pair is already in sorted order. You can sort the second one, that is 3, 7, and next 5, 6, and next 2, 9, and next 1, 4. So we have been sorted each pair. And next get the first pair, both lowest values. And combine that with the next one, and again recursively compare. So here we have been taken 2 elements, and next that we can extend that to the 4 elements, and next we can extend that to the 6 elements, etc. In this manner we can solve the algorithm. So we compare these 2 values, that is 2 and 6, with the values of the next pair. So initially we have been compared 2 with 6. So here we are combining 2 elements. A pair can be compared with the next pair. So here 2, 6 will be compared with 3, 7. And next 2, 6 with 3, 7. So compare 2 and 3. So 2 is least, and again compare with 6 with 3. 3 is least. So move 3 into place of 6. And next compare 6, 7, both are in sorted orders, and you can leave. So here you can continue in this manner. The next one is 5 and 6 with 2 and 9. And next and last one is 1, 4. So 1, 4 can be compared with. So you get here you can combine. After swapping 2, 3. 2, 6 with 3, 7, we get 2, 3. And next compare 2, 3 with 5, 6. Again least is 2, 3. Again compare with 2, 6 with 2, 9. 2, 3 with 2, 9. Here you can get 2, 2. And again compare 2, 6 with 2, 2 with 1, 4. We can get 1, 2. That is the solution. So in this manner you can continue recursively. So next examples of divide and conquer means what are the different sorting and searching and other problems which we can solve using binary search. So all the problems which allows partition, those may come under divide and conquer. You can take any problem. When you are solving that problem, you can see if there is a partition, then we can solve it using divide and conquer. So first one is binary search. Heap construction, that is minimum heap or maximum heap. Towers of Hanoi. Exponentiation of Fibonacci sequences, quicksort. Fibonacci sequences also divides into partitions, quicksort, merge sort, multiplying large integers, matrix multiplication, closest pair path finding problems. So here we can see the first example, quicksort. How can we solve the quicksort using divide and conquer? So in quicksort, we can follow the approach of divide and conquer. Divide the partition, that is list, the array of A, P to R into two subarrays PQ minus 1 and Q plus 1 to R, where each element in P A of PQ minus 1 is less than or equal to A of Q, where Q is the pivot element. A of Q is less than or equal to each element in A of Q plus 1 to R. That is, we are dividing the list into two sublists in such a way that all the elements in the left partition should be less than pivot and all elements in right partition should be greater than pivot element. In that manner, we can select the pivot element. Index Q is computed as part of the partitioning procedure. So here we can select the Q. That may be the pivot element randomly selected or a mid value, or you can you use different types of approaches. Next, conquer. Sort the two subarrays P to Q minus 1 and Q plus 1 to R by recursive calls to quicksort. And you can recursively process the same division and rearrangement in both the subpartitions until each subpartition should contain a single element. Until that you can divide. Next, combine. Since the subarrays are sorted in place, no work is needed to combine them. Already these elements are sorted individually until single element is existing. Then automatically those are in sorted order. No need to combine. The list can be arranged in sorted order itself. Because the list is single, no need to combine. The result itself is in sorted order. So here we are using two approaches for quicksort. First one is partitioning procedure, dividing the list into two sublists. Next, quicksort procedure, calling the partition on the list and calling the quicksort recursively on the two sublists and recursively until we can get a single element in the list. So in partition, A equal to A of R, X equal to A of R, that is nothing but this is higher. I equal to P minus 1, this is lower, this is higher. For J equal to P to R minus 1, if A of J less than X, then increment I. A of J is transferred to A of I. So here you have to compare the element by partitioning the list into two sublists, and next compare the elements with one another and swap if the comparison result is true. End of if, end of for. So X of I plus 1, A of R is transferred to X of I plus 1, return I plus 1. So this is the partitioning procedure. So dividing. So here if A of J is less than X less than or equal to maximum, you can continue until end of the list. Start from starting element and check whether the starting element, the element that is the we are selecting from beginning in the array is less than or equal to X. That is the here we are pivot element is nothing but we are considering last element A of R is X, which is pivot element. So if that is less than that one, then simply you can increment and swap the element in ith position can be reloaded with element in jth position in the array. So if there is a match found, then you can increment the I and swap. If there is no match, I remains the same, but j is incremented continuously until r minus 1 is reached. So when we are performing in first iteration, list is divided into two halves. That is, the first half elements greater than the less than the pivot come under to left side, and greater than the pivot go to the right side. X comes to the middle position. So here in quicksort, array P is partition and R is the ending element. So if P less than, partition is less than the ending element, until then you can perform the partition and call the quicksort recursively. That is nothing but dividing the list into sublist. Until P is less than R, that is partitioning element is less than the high value. So here example, there are 5 elements, maximum, that is R is 5, partition. So partition is performed in this manner, that is 5 comes to the from end position to middle after first iteration. 5 the elements left to 5, that are P to Q minus 1 and right to 5 are Q plus 1 to R. These are performed after implementing partition. 5 may come from ending to middle. And again you can recursively call by considering the last element. Except middle, Q minus 1 becomes R, and perform the same quick sort in this first list. So this is the last element which is pivot in the first half, and this is the last element which is pivot in the second half, and recursively call the same procedure. Again sort. An example for quicksort. Initially, you can check here. How can we solve? R is 6. I and j are at P, that is 2. Pivot element of x. Pivot of x equal to 6. And after first iteration, we have to compare. J is 2 and compare with 6. J is less than 2. No need to swap. If that is less than x, then you can increment I and move A of j, array of j element is less than or equal to x. Then I equal to I plus 1. A of I is swapped with A of j. So here pivot is R and I is 0, j is also 0. So in first iteration, if I is, that is the A of j is 2 compared with 6, A of j is less, then increment I comes to I is 0 initially, j is 1. So I comes to 1 first position. After initialization, I comes to first position, j goes to 2. But there is no swapping because element is already in, that is small than the pivot element. And in next iteration, j is 2, I is 1, and compare with pivot element, but 6 is greater than j, that is not less than, j is less than, A of j is less than 6. Then no need, then here you can increment I comes to 5 and j goes to 8. And next compare 8 with 3. Here there is a swap. So j is moved. In next iteration, j is moved to 3. So when j is moved to 3, that is when you are comparing 8 with 6, 8 is greater than 6. So you have to swap not 6, the next element. I is the same. So here the condition is false. So I remains the same. I is not incremented if the condition is false. So what is the j element position? In j, that is after incrementing, you have to swap that element to I. So here the next element in J is, that is nothing but J is greater than 6. Then you can swap incrementing J 3 to 5, and 5 comes to place of 3. That is increment, that is swap the elements, by incrementing. So here you can swap 8 with 3. Swap 8 with 3 because 8 is greater and I is same. Here we are comparing a of j is less than x. A of j is not less than x, a of j is greater than x. So then you can, this is the last iteration. Then that is condition is false, I is not incremented. Then you come to the next iteration, you can swap 3 with 8. I is incremented to 3, and next I is swapped with j element, that is 8 is swapped with 3, and next come to j goes to 9. In each iteration I is incremented, but j is incremented, but I is incremented when the condition is true. If the condition is false, I is not incremented. In next iteration, that is 8 the element is swapped, and again here we are considering 8 is moved to position of j, then j is moved from position of 3 to 9. So 9 is greater than 6. Again I remains the same but incremented at last. So here you have to swap 9 with 8. And not 9 with 8 because element 9 is greater than 8. No need to swap. So I retains, this is greater because 8 is greater than 6. I retain, after swapping I remains at 3 position. At this position only it can exist because 8 is also greater than 6, 9 is also greater than 6, I is not incremented. I is incremented when that is less than. Move the element and swap. So when 3 is compared with 6, then 3 is less than 6, then increment I and swap with j. So here when 3 is less than 6, then swap I with j. So here element is swapped, that is increment I comes to 8th position, swap I with j, that is I 3 goes to 8th position and j8 comes to jth position, and in next iteration j is moved but I remains the same. Here the condition is false, so no incrementation for I. No incrementation for I. And next j is moved to 4, but 4 is less than 6, so I is moved to 4 is less than 6. Then swap 4 with 8. By incrementing I comes to 8th position and swap element 8 with 4. So, and j goes to 1, and again 1 less than 6. So increment I to 9 and swap 9 with 1. And next j is 7. 7 is greater than 6. So no swapping, no incrementation. And j moved to 10. And 10 is greater than 6. No swapping, no incrementation. And the end of the list is reached. J is moved to 6, last element in the list. So here last element after the loop is iterated until r minus 1 until 10. So here j is r. So simply you can swap the element position I plus 1, that is 8 with 6. So 6 comes to 8th position and 8 goes to 6th position. That is the last step in partition. So here this is up to first for loop. Up to first for loop, after implementing the first for loop, you can see the result. That is elements in left partition of 6 are less than 6 and elements in right partition are greater than 6. So, and again you can recursively call quick sort in first half and second half in similarly in this manner. So this is, you have to check here carefully in this example. I is incremented only when condition is true and then swap with j element. Incrementing and swapping. If our condition is false, no incrementing and no swapping, but j can go continuously until end of the list. That is the partition here. Partitioning. Select the last element A of R in the subarray as the pivot element, the element around which we have to partition. As the procedure executes, the array is partitioned into 4 regions. A of P to I, all entries in this are less than pivot. I plus 1 to j minus 1, all entries in this region are greater than pivot. A of R is pivot element. A of j to R minus 1, that is known, they are compared to pivot, that is nothing but the loop here we are performing. So this is the partition. First, this is the second partition, this is the pivot element, this is the loop iteration. The above holds before each iteration of the for loop and constitutes a loop invariant. That is the partitioning procedure. Correctness of partition. Use loop invariant initialization before first iteration. Invariant means variable which is static. A of P to I and I plus 1 to j minus 1 are empty. Codes 1 and 2 are satisfied trivially. R is the index of the pivot element. Maintenance case 1, if A of j greater than x, increment j only, list is maintained. Case 1, check, compare and swap. And correct case 2, if that is less than, greater than, no comparison. So here this is the greater than condition. If that is greater than, j is the pivot element, j is greater than pivot element, then no swapping, I remains same at the same position, j is incremented. But in case 2, when the pivot element is, j is less than pivot element, then I is incremented from the previous position to next position until element is swapped. And third one is termination. When the loop terminates, j equal to r. So all the elements in A are partitions into one of the 3 cases. First half consists of less element. Second partition consists of greater elements. Pivot element is swapped to the middle element. The last 2 lines swap ai plus 1 and ar move, that is nothing but pivot moves from end of the array to between of the 2 subarrays. That is becoming it, and the element becomes as the middle element. So when we are coming to the time complexity of this algorithm, partition time of n is given by the number of iterations in the for loop. So the number of iterations here in the for loop are r minus p plus 1. Number of iterations in the loop are r n equal to r minus p plus 1. That is the, you have to iterate the number of loop, that is p means first element plus 1, that is if p is 0, r minus 1 iteration. Maximum we are performing r minus 1 iterations. So the worst case time complexity occurs only when partition results in the most unbalanced partition. Partition is most unbalanced when the number of subproblem 1 is of size n minus 1 and subproblem 2 is of size 0, that is unbalanced. All the elements are in random order. If any half of the list is sorted, then the number of iterations may be less. We can call it as average time. So the worst case performance t of n minus 2 plus t of 0. So theta of n square, you have to perform the number of iterations n squared. Theta of n square, that is the worst case performance. Best case performance is the theta of n log n. When half of the elements are more than half may be sorted, the number of iterations may be n log n. If that are all the elements are in random, we have to sort each element, then that is theta of n square. That is best case is theta of n log n, worst case is theta of n square. That is the quick sort algorithm. We can see the next algorithms in the next class.